Letter 1. Southampton, October 3, 1797. The happiness we enjoy by preserving an intercourse with our friends, when separated from them beyond the reach of personal interview, ranks among the highest blessings of civilized life. The social principle which attaches man to his species influences him wheresoever he may be placed, or whatsoever his condition it prevails equally in savage life and in polished society, but it is to navigation and the art of riding those powerful engines which have established a freedom of intercourse throughout the wide extent of the globe that we are indebted for the superior enjoyment of communicating with far distant friends, and thereby rendering our separation less intolerable. Yet will you, my friend, I fear, too soon discover how much you have sacrificed your judgment to your friendship in so strenuously requiring frequent communications from me during my absence from England. In the correspondence your kindness has exacted, you will have to encounter a task, while all the advantages of amusement and instruction will be mine, but you have brought it upon yourself, and must therefore be content to see me your debtor, assured of my regret that the benefit to be derived cannot be reciprocal. Did I even possess all the glowing and happy talents necessary to descriptive narration, the busy employment of my time and the unsettled state of my mind amid the perpetual hurry and uncertainty of military movements must prevent me from observing and still more from relating what may pass before me with the accuracy you might expect, or I could desire. Indeed, were genius mine, and all the acute and penetrating powers fitted for the task, still, from being unable to mature my remarks by the recurrent eye of a continued residence, all I could offer you would necessarily be superficial and undigested. You will perceive, therefore, that under all circumstances yours cannot fail to be a trial of patience, for you can only expect the perusal of hasty notes, hastily collected, by an observer whose time must be devoted to the duties of his appointment, and whose movements and pauses must be regulated by those exigencies of the army which more immediately and imperiously demand his attention. But it were needless to enter into a detail of the allowances you will have to make. You already know them, hence, as apologies are irksome to you, I forego all further comment, and, meeting you as you desire, proceed to my subject. You command me, and, as the soft dictates of friendship usually pulsate upon my heart with an influence too grateful to be disregarded, my pen obeys. The journey. The adventures of a stagecoach are sometimes amusing, but it happened that my journey hither was peculiarly devoid of incident, being merely a dark nocturnal ride, which passed on without anything to divert or to interest. According to my usual habit, I felt no disposition to sleep, but, wrapped in pensive stillness, I sat undisturbed and let my cogitative faculties have their way. My fat companions, whom you saw in the mail, proved to be three of the sturdy sons of old Ocean. They had formed rather an intimate acquaintance with a certain personal pronoun, and, in abruptness of manner, seemed to be as nearly related to that great personage, Mr. John Bull, as to his kind patron, Father Neptune. If I mistake them not, they were the commanders of some trading ships or transports going out with the convoy. The one sitting upon the same seat with myself so spread his huge sea-worn limbs as to occupy nearly the whole width of the coach, thrusting my comparatively diminutive person up into the corner like a very bodkin. Each of them, planting himself with a loud grunt, quite at his ease, lowered his travelling cap and, turning into his berth in the several corners, sank as profoundly into the arms of Morpheus as though he had been quietly swinging in his hammock upon the smooth surface of a western ocean. Occasionally they were rather loud in starts of sonorous repose, otherwise they caused no interruption to my meditations. And as darkness deprived me of all the variety of passing objects, the want of sleep was, in some measure, compensated by my senses falling into the slumber of weakened impression. Amidst the stillness of night we rolled swiftly on, without impediment or delay, always finding horses in readiness at each place of change. Even the great business of eating and drinking was more than commonly disregarded. No social hour of supper was observed, nor were our conductors troubled with those frequent calls of thirst which are so vexatious and annoying to passengers. To arrive at the end of the journey seemed the object of all. Within the coach it was my lot alone to be sensible of time or distance. Our sleeping captains might have fancied themselves transferred by some sudden or sylph-like aid, for the curtains of their eyes but dropped with the closing day of London to be again uplifted with the rising sun of Southampton. Arrival and first impressions. We arrived at an early hour, and, after taking the refreshment of a cold ablution and a plentiful breakfast, I proceeded without delay to headquarters to announce my arrival and pay my respects to the Commander-in-Chief. It happened that the Inspector General of Hospitals was with Sir Ralph Abercrombie at the time. I called, I therefore reported my appointment to both and put myself under command. The effect of this moment upon my mind I had not fully anticipated. It was a moment big with sensation, but I cannot say with delight. A sudden impulse flushed within me, seeming to create unexpected feelings of regret at the surrender of my liberty. Recalling the days of my youth, when, at school, I was subject to the will of a master, my mind, in vivid remembrance, rapidly retraced all the images of a restraint which had so long been irksome to it, and, in high impatience of the impression, busy appeal seemed to call aloud. Dost thou not recollect that it was then the anxious theme of all thy hopes to escape from fetters and gain the exercise of thine own will? Didst thou not anticipate, as the consummation of thy best wishes, the proud and happy period when thou shouldst arrive at the power of self-command? And, this attained, wouldst thou now surrender the freedom of action so long and so anxiously contemplated as thy greatest good? Wouldst thou abandon the happy acquisition for which thou hadst languished, for which thou hadst toiled through so many tedious years? Such were the repugnant and discouraging appeals of momentary impulse, but sober reason quickly resumed her throne, and, pursuing a more tempered train of ideas, banished the hostile impression, while the renewal of former contemplation soon restored me to myself. From the quarters of the Commander-in-Chief, I accompanied the Inspector General to visit the sick, and, in professional pursuit, forgot the wayward feelings of a discordant moment. The hospital. This walk afforded me the opportunity of taking an early view of the military hospital, and I have great pleasure in remarking to you that it does much credit to the doctor's judgment and industry. Placed in the direction of the medical department, his exertions have demonstrated how essential it is to commit that important appointment to an officer whose experience qualifies him for all the various duties it demands. By a well-devised arrangement, forwarded by a zealous and laudable industry, he has caused a large old building late a sugar house to be converted into a commodious and well-aired hospital, where the unfortunate sick are comfortably placed, duly attended, and conveniently as well as liberally accommodated with all that their afflicted situation demands. Social calls and evening. After my visit at the hospital, I spent the remainder of the morning in perambulating the town and its environs, and in making various calls upon my friends and acquaintances. At the hour of dinner I found myself en famille with Colonel M., whose lady is among the unhappy inconsolables whom this sad expedition is about to separate from their lords. In the afternoon I joined several of my professional comrades at the Inspector General's, and, to complete the round of a busy day, accompanied a party in the evening to the public rooms. The night I consign to you, for, as my pen traces the hour, the clock strikes 12.